It's time for the 49ers Rush podcast. Here's your host, John Chapman.
All right, welcome to another episode of the 49ers Rush podcast. I'm your host, as always, John Chapman. And, man, we are 5 days away. Depending on when you're listening, we're going live right now. It's Tuesday afternoon. We're at about 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, but man, 5 days from now, the game is going to be live, the NFC Championship. It's been so long. 2013, the last time the 49ers were there, which, you know, for most franchises, you go a decade plus before you're in the championship game again. 49ers had their downtime, and now they are back at it, and so excited to talk some more football with you guys today. We're going to be going over some of the defensive film from the Vikings game, which I just uploaded, the Patreon film breakdown, and I got to be honest, the Vikings scored 10 points, okay, that which isn't great by any stretch of the imagination, but one of the best all-around defensive performances I have ever graded on film. Usually, whenever you come off, you know, a great performance, whether, you know, playing, coaching, whatever, you say, wait, let's look at the film first. You know, usually it's never as good as you think it is, and it's never as bad as you think it is. This was better than I thought it was. You know, we went through every single play, which it wasn't that many. You know, you look defensively and what that game entailed. There were only 46 total snaps defensively because there were 7 3-and-outs by the Minnesota Vikings. And so they were just they couldn't sustain any drives. They couldn't get anything going. And it all started up front. So let's jump in and let's go to that film now. And here we go. So here's the thing. You know, both the Vikings and the 49ers had the exact same game plans going into this game. Stop the run. And if you could stop the run, get after the quarterback and make mistakes. The same plans, same offensive schemes, very similar defensive schemes, not the same, but the exact same offensive schemes. The only difference was the Minnesota Vikings could never get going. They couldn't even get started. You watch here the very first play of the game. It's not much of a shocker on what they're trying to do. It's Dalvin Cook. Get Dalvin Cook going. This has been their MO all season long. And, you know, you want to talk about Stefanski getting the Browns job. This is the greatest thing that I think could ever happen to Robert Saleh. You do not want to be the head coach of the Browns. That organization is limited so much by their owner, and it's not a good place to be. So we're really, really excited. But you look right here, they're trying to run it into a 9-man front. You want to try to run this into a 9-man front, that's fine. You know, 49ers had to do the same thing. They were just successful with it. But it was completely limited by so many different players. There wasn't one guy that necessarily stood out. Probably Nick Bosa is definitely going to be the MVP with 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, pass defense. It's so much more. But everybody contributed. And it was a total team effort to where, look, you know, this is what was echoed by Nick Bosa and Robert Saleh. You got to stop the run if you want to rush the pass. And they were able to do that. And Dalvin Cook goes out there for 9 rushing attempts for 18 yards. 9 for 18. And everybody wanted to talk about how great this offense was, this and that, and whatever else. And, oh, have you seen the Vikings defense? Have you seen all this? Have you seen Dalvin Cook? Have you seen these wide receivers? We saw them. And it wasn't much. There wasn't that much out there. So love the fighting of the first, second, and Moises was third. A lot of fun. Appreciate all that. But if you have any questions, and again, if you're joining us live, you know, whether you're on YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, Twitter, please, if you have a question in the comments, just put at John Chapman or at John. That way I could see it and we can kind of get on it. And again, you know, yesterday's broadcast, we focused much more on the offensive side. Today, we're going to focus on the defensive side. Doesn't mean if you have a question, we can't jump back and forth. However, Kyle Shanahan is a genius when it comes to scripting plays. You know, Bill Walsh, which the parallels between Kyle Shanahan and Bill Walsh in this coaching paradigm is huge. Both of them, come offensive quote-unquote gurus or geniuses, come to San Francisco. First 2 years, they do horribly. They don't do well at all. They build something special. Then they finally get their quarterback, and Joe Montana, who struggles his first year, does very well. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't really struggle. He just got injured. But anyway, all that sets in their third year. They both go 13-3. They both win several playoff games. Bill Walsh eventually wins the Super Bowl in his third year. Kyle Shanahan, that's pending, but I think that you have to say they are the absolute favorites to win the Super Bowl at this point. The Chiefs and the 49ers. I don't think that there's really much out there for the Titans, who historic run, what they've been able to put through. And Green Bay, you could talk about how great they are, that's fine. I don't think there's many experts that are going to say Green Bay is a better team or coached better than the 49ers. I don't think there's any logical way you could say that. Now, can Green Bay win? Yeah, for sure, they can. But the best teams are San Francisco and Kansas City. Now, sorry, I got sidetracked there, Vincent. You guys listen to the podcast, you know that happens a lot. But anyway, Emmanuel Sanders, back to what Kyle Shanahan does very well is he scripts plays, the opening start of the game, and where he wants to attack, and he wants to get Emmanuel Sanders involved. However, second and third quarter, they get away from that, and they turn into, what is this team giving us? First 20 plays, we're going to take what we want. Then it changes to a matchup-driven game to where Kyle Shanahan says, look, they're doubling Kittle. Look, they're selling out to stop the run. Look, they're doing all these things. And Emmanuel Sanders disappears. You could talk about his age. You could talk about, if Jimmy Garoppolo, he just, I don't know what it is, but he's gone. He just leaves the game. He's very effective in the run game, but you could say this even outside of Emmanuel Sanders and the other wide receivers. Debo gets involved through the running game and screen game, and he's the first read a lot of times. Kendrick Bourne, his plays, he's usually never the first read. He's just a big target, and Jimmy kind of goes to him whenever it's third and long or in the goal line, things like that. But one of my keys to the game a few weeks ago, we have to keep Emmanuel Sanders involved. And, if he's just getting 4 catches a game, I'm fine with that. But if we look back to this Vikings game, he didn't have a catch after the first drive of the game. He didn't have a target, and that's not okay. And, it kind of raises concerns long-term. You'd like to have Emmanuel Sanders come back. He fits this system perfectly, as we have seen, but it's problematic. And, I'm hoping we got to have more consistency and longevity from the wide receiver position. It's just one of those things that you got to have. I'm nobody you need to know. Nice tag. At John, how big a threat are the Smiths for the Packers against our O-line? Number one, you go back to the previous game, and there was no pass rush threat whatsoever. And Joe Staley didn't even play that game. That was a Justin School game on the left tackle and McGlinchey on the right side. So, yeah, they're special. There's no doubt about it. Whenever you look at what they did, you could have voted, Zachary Smith as Defensive Player of the Year, and you wouldn't have had an argument from me. He's played very, very well. But they play him so much that he winds down at the end of games. And if you watched, that Packers and Seahawks game, their defense, as the game went on, slowed down. They came out firing super hot. They got exhausted chasing Russell Wilson, and eventually they weren't very effective at the end. So one of those things, and again, how do you neutralize a pass rush? You put them in third and short. Again, back to Nick Bosa's quote, you can't rush the pass if you don't stop the run. What does Kyle Shanahan do as well as anybody? He runs the ball. So you put your defense or your offense in favorable situations where it's not predictable, not third and long. That's key. So yes, they are a threat. Are they going to get sacks on their quarterback? Yeah, probably. They're going to get some pressures on there. But if you want to stop it, you run the ball effectively. You throw the ball on first down. I hate whenever we just run the ball on first down over and over again, unless it's against the Vikings, you have a lead and all that stuff. But I love throwing the ball on first down. I think it's one of the most underrated things to do in the NFL. So run the ball. and be effective at it. Throw on first down. Don't be predictable, which Kyle Shanahan really isn't any of those things. It's, Marquez. Oh, yeah, John, looking like a straight history teacher. That is correct, baby. This is the teacher persona that you see before you. It's been a busy day, but that's okay. From R1, John, prediction score for this Sunday. I'm going to have those tomorrow's episode. I don't want to throw out my prediction yet because I got more homework and scouting film work to do on the Packers. So I've got a couple ideas, but I'm going to hold that back. I'm going to tease you a little bit. So the next podcast should be out either Wednesday or Thursday. I am traveling this week, so please bear with me. It's going to be a little bit different. Once I find stable internet in Utah, trust me, you guys are going to get your podcast. So I'm flying in tomorrow evening. We'll figure that out. I'll get something out to you guys Wednesday or Thursday about that. From E-Man, John, what adjustments do you think the Packers will make against the Niners? They're going to attack deep and try to get a big play early. They're not going to come out and be conservative. And if you saw the, post-game locker room speech from their head coach, they're coming for blood, I think is the quote he used. They're going to try to... they only put up 8 points. They scored once against the 49ers just over a month ago. They're going to come out firing. And so look for them to test much more vertical, not necessarily play action holding the ball, but you're talking, go routes, things like that. Just because you're throwing deep doesn't mean you have to hold the ball a long time. So look for them to get Davante Adams on the offensive left, the defensive right going against Emmanuel Mosley, and they're going to try to attack that. A couple double moves out there, things like that, and look for Aaron Jones to get some wheel routes. I think that's what they're going to do. I really do. If they try to, just run the ball and be predictable, which, I don't think that that's what they're going to do, they're going to be screwed. If they try to do what the Vikings did and establish the run early, Packers aren't a run team. That's not really what they do. They throw the ball to the running back as well as anybody in the NFL, and they love to overload Davante Adams. So those are the two key guys. So Robert Saleh is going to have to find a way to make sure those two guys don't beat you. That's what you got to do. John, who do you think Mosley will cover the most in the game? He's going to stay on the right side. The only time we move our corners, the only time we have moved our corners all year is whenever there's just two wide receiver twins and they are on the same side. So if you go a big formation, a 22 personnel where you have two tight ends, a fullback, and a running back, and so you have one or two wide receivers, then we'll move Richard Sherman over to the defensive right, or if it's twins right to the offensive side, we'll move both of our cornerbacks over to the left side. That's about it. So, the way that we run our scheme, and it is a flaw, is Sherman's not going to follow Davante Adams all game. I wish he could, but Davante Adams loves to play on the defensive right side, and we like to keep Sherman on the defensive left side. So that's what it is. And so they're going to be able to determine who is guarding Davante Adams. Now, the way that we can help with that is how we are going to shade our safety help when we do our single high. It should almost always go to Davante Adams' side. There's nobody else that's really a threat. Geronimo Allison is a great deep ball receiver, but he's not really a complete wide receiver, so it's very predictable. Davante Adams is going to have to be key if we are going to lose this game. Angel, Nick and Joey Bosa on the Niners next year. They still got another year, so he is still locked up for one more year. But Joey Bosa, Nick's brother, did come out and say that he would love to play for the 49ers, but he's got one more year on his contract. And here's the deal. Teams don't let elite pass rushers go. He would be worth the franchise tag. There's no way they're going to let him go. Perhaps he's creating leverage. I don't think the 49ers, he's going to be making $20 million anyway, whatever team he's on. So we'll deal with that when we get there. I would love to have them. Both Bosa brothers, yeah, they're elite. No issues there. Is Davante Adams a bigger threat than Thielen or Diggs? Yes and yes to both of them. Davante Adams is as good a route runner as Diggs, and he is as fundamental and hardworking as Thielen. Davante Adams is better than both of them, in my opinion, and his quarterback is 1,000 times better than Kirk Cousins. So, yeah, that's where I'm at on that one. The Geek Freak, do you think Mosley gets the start? Yes. I think that's been settled. And if it hasn't been settled, let's talk about the Pro Football Focus grades from the Minnesota game. Okay, top 5, bottom 5, and really there's not really a bottom 5. The grades were impeccable throughout. But at the top, Nick Bosa, 91.6, and let's just pause for a second. Okay, a lot of awards were handed out, and this game reflects it as much as anything else in the NFL. First off, Nick Bosa, all-rookie team by the Pro Football Focus writers. By the National Football League writers. They pick 11 defensive players and 11 offensive players. It's kind of like the All-Pro, except it's just for rookies. Nick Bosa, he lands on the all-rookie team. He wins Defensive Rookie of the Year, not done. He wins Rookie of the Year, period, over everybody. Shout out to Nick Bosa, the number 2 pick, and I'm just going to humble brag here just because I'm a D-bag. Let's be honest. You know me. I've been on the Nick Bosa train for 2 years based on his film out of Ohio State. Don't care about politics or any of that stuff. I'm just telling you the player and the questions that everybody was saying back through the draft process. He can't stay healthy. Well, guess what? He's played in 17 straight games. We had the injury scare where he got the breath knocked out and everybody started chanting Bosa. He shows up huge, and you cannot say enough what Nick Bosa, he's an all-pro, his rookie year. The sky's the limit for this kid. It really, really is. And if you watch, I don't even know where the film is. I had the film down as I'm just going through the stats, and I've got my script up and all that stuff. But every other play of this defensive film that you guys are watching that's overlaid on the screen, Nick Bosa's showing out somewhere. And what he was able to do in this game, he had a pass defense, man coverage, and just a hell of a play. The kid's everywhere. It doesn't even make sense, but he got a 91.6, great grade, 7 total pressures in the game, 2 sacks, another quarterback hit, 4 hurries, 2 tackles for loss, pass defense, 5 solo stops. That's one game. That's at 46 snaps. It doesn't make sense how effective this kid is, and he does it from everywhere. Right side, left side, drop it in coverage, stunt to the inside versus the run game, pass rush, all over the place. Nick Bosa is special. And I don't think anybody disagrees with me on that one. But the next player, this is exciting. Dre Greenlaw gets a 91.2 grade. Maybe his best game all year. Now, you had the Seattle stop, but if this was a stock chart, this dude's straight up. He's busting through ceilings. It doesn't make sense. Gets an elite grade, 39 snaps. And if you wanted to know the snap differential between Greenlaw and Quan Alexander, Quan got 25, Greenlaw got 39. So Greenlaw was kind of playing the traditional will spot that he's been playing since Quan went down. Quan comes in and plays this Sam spot, and goodness, I don't know if you change it up, move it into the conference championship. Actually, I probably would, but it doesn't matter. Whoever's out there, they're great. But shout out to Dre Greenlaw. He gets named to the all-rookie team on defense, and he is so deserving. So deserving. Listen to the linebackers, first off, that were named. 3 linebackers were picked all-rookie. Devin Bush, Devin White, Dre Greenlaw. Now, here's the deal. Devin White picked number 5 overall. Devin Bush picked number 10 overall, traded up for it. They traded up to get him. The Steelers did. So 5 and 10. Guess where Dre Greenlaw was picked? Pick number 148. 148. He is the only person out of all 22 players to be a 5th round draft pick or later. He's the only one. There was one 4th rounder that was represented, and that was Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, the hybrid safety slot corner for the Saints. He was picked 105, but then you jump down 43 spots later, a full round later, is Dre Greenlaw. Now, almost all of the players that were picked were first-round picks. 19 of the 22 players that were selected on the all-rookie team were first or second-round picks. You only had 3 that were third round or later. You had Terry McLaurin, the wide receiver for the Washington Redskins. He was picked in the third round. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, fourth round. And then you have, sure enough, your own Drake Greenlaw picked in the fifth round. So, you got two players represented in the 49ers, your number 2 pick and then your number 148. And what the 49ers have done in the fifth round, pretty damn good. Without saying it, pretty damn good. You got Kittle, you got Greenlaw. There's a lot more guys than that, but those two, if you had to redraft today, and I love redraft articles, I'm sure I'll do one this summer, and it takes a lot of time, but that's okay. Drake Greenlaw is going in the first round. There's zero doubt about that. My guess is he would be picked probably around 20 to 25. He led the entire NFL in solo stops from week 10 on. After Quan got hurt and he stepped in, he led the entire NFL in solo stops. The entire NFL is rookie year. 5th round pick. That's a special year. Now, let's keep talking about the top-rated players. DeForest Buckner got an 88.8, 5 pressures, 1 sack, 4 hurries, and was great in the run game as well. Fred Warner, 79.5. K'Wan Williams, 79.3. Sherman, 77.8. These are all great grades. 90's elite, 80 is top tier, 70 is above average. That's kind of the way it goes. Armstead, 75.4. Ward, 74.9. Sheldon Day had a great game, 72.4. Tart, 72.4. Those are kind of your top grades. Now, if we flip it over, really only one player had a bad game, and that's Ahkello Witherspoon at 25.8. There's everybody else played really well. Quan Alexander didn't get a lot of stats, but he was a key player, and if you're watching the film, he was kind of the guy that forced the ball carrier inside every time. He was the strong force player. He blew up all the screens, all those things, and allowed his teammates to be special. D Ford, got 22 snaps, 3 pressures, 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit, 1 hurry. When that guy steps on the field, everybody's better. The 5 previous games for the 49ers, we had 5 total sacks. Bring back Ford, Tart, Alexander, you get 6 sacks in 1 game. So again, 5 games, 5 sacks total, 1 game, 6 sacks. You get those guys back. Now we're back to that weeks 1 through 9 defense that just steps out there and causes problems. And it's special. It really, really is special what's happening right now. So excited. You could not script a better way for the 49ers to be heading into the NFC Championship. Just being there is huge, first off. But now that we have all this, health and depth across, we have depth everywhere. Not even just defensively, offensively. You're to the point now where injuries aren't going to be, they haven't been crippling. We're 13-3, 14-3 if you count the win. But that's huge. Anyway. Now, I do want to talk about some betting this week with mybookie.ag, the number 1 sports betting site online. They are the absolute best. You bet, you win, you get paid. Very, very easy. And they set up something special this week, which I absolutely love. If you haven't bet over there yet, head over to mybookie.ag. Use promo code 49ers, 49ERS. They're going to double your initial deposit. But here's the deal. If you click on the NFC Championship games and click on alternate lines, okay? Now, the spread is set at 7.5. It's bumped up a half point. So the 49ers are supposed to win by 7.5. But they have this thing called alternate lines where you get to pick exactly how much they win by. So they have 3 separate spreads that are up there. You can pick 49ers plus 3, 49ers minus 13.5, or 49ers minus 17.5. So, and here's how this works. There are different payouts on each one. So if you want the 49ers to receive 3 extra points, so basically the 49ers could lose the game by 1 or 2 and you'll still get paid. Now, obviously, it's not going to be a huge payout. So, you're betting 10 to win 13.5. So it's kind of against a lot of what's going on. But if you think the 49ers are going to blow out the Packers, and, I'm kind of in that group. I don't know about blowout, but I think that we will win by more than a score for sure. And you're just one of those guys that's like, dude, I'm telling you, they're going to go back there. They're going to win by 2+ touchdowns. There's bets for you. And here's what happens. If you think the 49ers will win by 13.5, so 2 touchdowns or more, you can bet 10 to win 23.5. If you think they'll win by 17.5 or more, you can bet 10 to win 34.5. So there are a lot of bets out there over there on my bookie. We're going to have a couple prop bets and things like that in our bets of the week, but I wanted to let you guys know some new options. They don't usually do this. So again, you can kind of pick. 49ers +3, 49ers -7.5 is the regular spread, -13.5 and -17.5. If you are one of those people that just really believes, hey, head over there, they're going to double your initial deposit, put some money down, let's see, put your money where your mouth is, and I want to see receipts. I bet $5 before the season started that the 49ers would win the Super Bowl. Well, that's like a $250 payout now. Obviously, wish I would have bet more, but it's what it is. I don't bet very much money. I'm not a big bettor, but it does make it a little more interesting. That is mybookie.ag. Use promo code 49ers. Let's see here. Sergio. John, what's your honest opinion on who's better, Jones or Cook in the running back comparison? Ooh, that's a good question. I'm a little biased. I saw Aaron Jones play in high school and college, followed his career very, very closely. Very talented back. He is much more of a home run hitter and a much better receiver. I think what makes Jones special is what he does in the receiving game, and he just scores touchdowns. His explosiveness is way better than Cook. I think Cook is a better runner. I think Jones is a better passer. I am more scared of Jones with our defensive makeup than I was Cook. But I'm not really scared of Jones either. I just think that it's a better matchup for him. So I think Jones because of what he does in the receiving game. That's what I would say. So anyway, hopefully that answers your question, kind of. That was kind of a split the fence answer. Sorry about that. Tyrone. He says, I don't think that they have enough offensive threats for us. We will bury them like the first game. Now, the problem that I do see here, Tyrone, I agree with you. They don't. You've got Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. You've got some good tackles, but I would prefer our defensive ends to their offensive tackles. But they've got, Aaron Jones, and they've got Devontae Adams. Now, the problem is this. Robert Saleh has allowed individuals to take over games against him. And so if this is one of those things where you have to step in and say, look, you can't let one person beat us, and you have to make adjustments. Now, the last game, and you're going to see this all on the film that you guys are watching now, several adjustments were made during the game in the first half, which is outside of the norm for Robert Saleh, but it has worked very, very well. So, yes, you cannot allow Devontae Adams to beat you. You cannot allow Aaron Jones to beat you. You just can't do it. And so I really do think that, this matchup on paper is very, very bad for the Packers. I said that the first matchup. It's not good. It's not a good matchup for them because they have our same offense, but we have the guy that installed it. So, it's Master Yoda versus whoever. Throw away. I'm not the biggest Star Wars guys, but I'll mess up the analogy, I'm sure. But we have the original. They have the copy. That's just what it is. Their defense, shoot. You want to go back to Cleveland? Man, my favorite Kyle Shanahan clip ever, and I want to thank Winston. He put this out there, Winston Chung. When Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator, Mike Pettin was the head coach, and Kyle Shanahan's like 3rd and goal or 4th and 2 or something anyway, and Kyle Shanahan calls a play-action pass, and Mike Pettin tries to step over him. Why are you calling that? Why don't you run it here? I'd run it here. All right, you do what you want, but I'd run it here. And Kyle Shanahan just looks at him with just like an F-U on his face and just smiles and smirks as disrespectful Kyle does. And sure enough, they go and get a touchdown, and Kyle just looks at him. It did not end well for these two in Cleveland. Kyle hates this guy. I guarantee you that. And he's bitter. They don't like each other. It's what it is. I'm seeing something on here about Luke Kuechly retiring, going through the mentions. Let's see here, right here. Yeah, Luke Kuechly just retired 23 minutes ago. I'm seeing from Adam Schefter. That is huge. Wish him the best of luck. If he feels that's right, if you don't want to play, don't play. I believe it's his self, it's his body. You got to listen to what your body tells you to do. That guy's been special. He has been absolutely special. I hate to see him go. Hopefully that's what's best for him. And man, you look at, I don't want to make this all about the 49ers, but Fred Warner got 6 All-Pro votes this year. And I think that he has to kind of move into, he's one of those guys. You're talking, he's going to be one of the favorites to be an all-pro linebacker next year. And you want to talk about the deepest and best linebacking cores in the NFL? You're not going to find anybody better than the 49ers. One, you've got Fred Warner, 6 All-Pro votes in his second year. You've got Dre Greenlaw. He was named to the All-Rookie team. His rookie, well, obviously it has to be his rookie year to be on the All-Rookie team. And then you got Quan Alexander. Is it possible Quan's the third best linebacker on this group? If that's the case, that's bananas. Yeah, it kind of get off script there just a little bit, but yeah, Luke Kuechly looks like he is done. Wish him the best of luck. That team's going to be a rebuilding team, and injuries, and he's had a lot of concussions. If you remember 2 years ago, wish him and his family the best, and hopefully his health is okay. Appreciate what he gave to the sport. He did it as well as anybody. Bobby, but Jimmy hardly threw it after the INT, so really no good wide receivers got involved in the pass game. You're right. Yeah, it's a fair criticism. We didn't have to. We had the drive of 8 rushes for a touchdown. That is huge. John, what adjustment will the Pack do to make sure what happened last time, they don't do it again? They've got to stop the run. They've got to stop the run on defense. They've got to. If they can't stop the run, Kyle Shanahan has proven we can run it at a 9-man box. So they're going to have to come up with some very creative stunts, schemes, blitzes to stop the outside zone. If they can do that, then it's going to be a game. I'm still building my notes for how do the Packers win this game. That's what I try to always do is, step into the enemy's shoes. And from, the Packers, it's self-scouting, right? How can they win this game? How can the Packers win it? One, they've got to have a ridiculous amount of explosive plays. They cannot fall behind early. If they're down by 2 scores in the first half, it's going to get out of hand because then Kyle Shanahan can lean on the run game and just bleed out the clock and defeat them from the inside out. So it's got to stay close in the first half. They are going to have explosive plays on offense. The Packers, they're going to have to score big, and they're going to have to make them hit. They cannot get behind in the chains. Now, defensively, and they've got to stop the run, and you've got to hit Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo, his jerseys have been scot clean. He's not getting hit. He's making other people hit the ground. He's getting pancake blocks out there on Anthony Barr, the linebacker. He's pristine, his uniform. He hasn't been hit in a while. He had 2 sacks in the very first game, but that was it. Or against the Seattle Seahawks, he didn't get sacked again. So that's what's got to happen. You got to hit Garoppolo, and you got to stop the run. Let's see here. Sergio, if the Niners lose, it's because of turnovers or the NFL's agenda. I'm seeing a lot of people put this out there. Don't buy into this, okay? I hate this, but I'm seeing it a lot. The very first Super Bowl was Green Bay and the Kansas City Chiefs. I get that. And so it's the NFL 100 year. Let's go back and let's redo the first Super Bowl storylines and all that stuff. I get it. I just don't want to do anything that makes me like a Seahawks fan. And all they do is put out excuses and this and that, whatever. We control our own destiny. And, as a coach, I always used to tell my players this because, you coach in high school ball, you're not getting the best refs. And we've seen bad calls in the NFL. We saw bad calls in the college championship last night, in the national championship. There's bad calls everywhere. I don't care who the ref is. It's very difficult to get it right all the time. There's going to be bad calls in this game. So what's your job as a football team? Don't let it get close enough for those bad calls to beat you. Can't do it. You just can't. Whenever I would coach, I'd have a flag in my pocket, and in practice, if we had just like an amazing offensive play or whatever else, I'd throw a flag. Oh, sorry, holding on the offense. The penalty wasn't real, but you prep your players to overcome adversity because things are going to go against you. And if the game's close enough to leave it up to the refs, you should lose anyway. You are by far superior than the Green Bay Packers. It's not close. These two teams are not comparable on paper. They're not comparable if you were playing Madden games. If you simulated this game 100 times, they're not close. Packers are very good, but this is a bad matchup for the Packers schematically, talent-wise, personnel-wise, whatever. There's no advantage outside of Aaron Rodgers. That's it. That's it. So don't let the NFL agenda screw you over. And don't be the fan base that if we do lose this game, say, well, NFL just wanted to. Don't be those people. We hate those people. Think how much we make fun of the Seahawks fans for posting that short spot. Well, guess what? If you don't want to lose to a short spot, get the damn first down and don't leave it up to the ref. Personally, I thought he was short. That yellow line is not official, and if you zoom out and you can see the first down, it was close. You leave it up to be close and you leave it to be interpreted, that's your fault. Take it out of the ref's hands. There's going to be bad calls. Prepare for that. Don't be the ones that say, oh, refs are out to get it. Don't be those people. Please don't be those people. Let's see here. Is it illegal for the Packers head coach to consult with Sean McVay on how to attack the Niners? No, it's not. Coaches talk all the time. All the time. And for Sean McVay, he does not want the 49ers to win. It does not help him out at all. So, no, it makes sense. He's close friends. It helps Sean McVay if the Packers win because that's his offensive protege that's over there. So that's kind of part of it about, kind of how it works as well. You look at what Matt LaFleur's done. He's done a good job as head coach. He's 13-3 in his first year. And, you've got Mike Pettin, you've got Hackett, you've got all these guys that are out there. A lot of long-established NFL careers. And it's totally cool. And they want to do it, go ahead. Because here's the deal. Guarantee you Kyle Shanahan's talking to his dad all the time. I don't know if there's really anybody that Kyle Shanahan could talk to about the Packers, but I don't have a problem with that. Are you nervous about this rig talk? Again, Jersey Niners seeing this question again. Absolutely not. Hate that stuff. Do you think that the Packers try to test Sherman more this game? No, I do not. I think Sherman has shown what happens, and the only time they will test Sherman is if Jimmy Graham's on him or if Devontae Adams is on him. I think that's it. Outside of that, you don't even throw it over to that side of the field. I don't even want to see it. I really don't. If I was the Green Bay Packers coach, I'd say just don't throw it at him unless it's Devontae Adams because both those guys are at the top of their game, or Jimmy Graham just because he's such a big guy that can kind of box out. And now I still like Sherman in both those matchups. I hope they throw it at him all the time. I don't think they will, though. I really don't. Let's see here. From Jersey Niner, just did that one. Sorry about that. Let's see here. Damian, do you think the Packers try to test Sherman? Yeah, sorry. The chat's flying up. Appreciate that, guys. Sorry, I'm missing a couple questions there. And once it gets past a certain amount, I can't see them anymore. Sorry about that. Mr. Superfly, how do you feel about Ben Garland? Oh, dude. Ben Garland, we've had so many backups step up. Emmanuel Mosley won when Sherman went out, when Akella went out. Now he's back in the starting lineup. Dre Greenlaw's been great. Start of the year, Tarvarius Moore, all of the defensive linemen. You could talk about Justin School, Daniel Brunskill. You could go on and on and on. Ben Garland has done as well of a job, and I mean this, of any backup that has stepped up this year. Ben Garland is playing himself into a starting contract with somebody in the NFL. And, he might be scheme specific in a, outside zone play or type scheme. That's okay. What he is doing it's great. It is really, really good. And it's been special. And he's done it against some of the best. You look at who the 49ers have played with Aaron Donald. You go up against Linval Joseph, play in and play out against the Vikings, and we don't even hear Linval Joseph's name outside of the first series. Ben Garland is wonderful. Could not be more proud of that dude and what he has put on tape this year. It's been special. Do you think GM John Lynch finally gets into the Hall of Fame? I don't think so. I think he's still got a couple more years. But, the NFL has shown what you do after your playing career matters. You look at Bill Cowher, who probably deserved to be in. You look at Jimmy Johnson, probably deserved to be in. But, guys like Kurt Warner, guys like, Terrell Davis, who didn't deserve to be in. I think Kurt Warner belonged in there, but Terrell Davis sure as hell didn't. But what you do afterward matters. And so the fact that he is part of this organization and at the forefront of the NFL still so long later, eventually he will. But I don't think he does this year. But what do I know? I was 100% convinced Patrick Willis would be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he was not. So longevity matters, and with Kuechly, with the way he's played, you're talking about mirrored skill sets and how dominant they both have been. I personally think Patrick Willis was better than Kuechly was. It was about the same length of the career. Patrick Willis only played 8 years, and I think that's a big reason why he didn't get in. So let's see here. Oh, I love this from Kua. The 2019 Niners equal the 1982 Niners. Tough killer defense, unknown young offense. I love that analogy. That is awesome. I love going back and reading the scripts on the 1982. That was before I was born. I was born in 1982. So that's a little before my time. But man, NFL Films was my favorite thing in the world growing up, and I watched every damn thing about that team. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, I appreciate that post. Thank you. Damien, do you have any concerns about our safety play going into this game with a quarterback that wants to prove he can throw against our defense? Yes. And Jaquiski Tartt's kind of the big concern. This is not the... Let me say this. We need Jaquiski Tartt for this game. This is not a Marcel Harris game. Okay, this is a Tartt game. But if you want to know who they're going to attack, it's that boy right there, number 29. That's who they're going to be going after. And so he's going to have to body up with the tight ends. Jay Sternberger, who really high on out of Texas A&M, and I hate Texas A&M. So if I like a prospect from Texas A&M, I kind of put an asterisk next to it because that scares me. But, he's active, and he played a role versus the Seahawks. Those are going to be the two guys that's going to be interesting. Whether they put Jimmy Ward on there or Tartt on there, how they're going to do that. Really curious to see how that's going to play out. Now, before I move on and get to some more questions, I do want to say thank you to our sponsors, BlueChew.com. These guys are awesome. Head to BlueChew.com. That's blue like the color. CHEW.com. Use promo code 49ers, 49ERS. And what they're going to do is they're going to give you very first shipment for free. And the reason why it's called Blue Chew, they have the same active ingredient that's found in Viagra and Cialis, except it comes in chewable form. It's not a pill, and because of that, it is faster acting. Okay, now go to BlueChew.com, use promo code 49ers. First shipment is free. You just pay $5 for shipping, and it's completely discreet. It's not awkward. You answer a questionnaire online. It's going to let you know what you need and what you don't need. And then they ship it to you in a very discreet package, not drawing a lot of attention. You don't have to go to a doctor. Don't have to have awkward conversations. So if you need that little extra help and that little extra boost, BlueChew.com is for you guys. Again, use promo code 49ers. Great company, very easy to work with. If you have any issues in that area, please head over to BlueChew.com. Use promo code 49ers. And just want to say thank you to Blue Chew again, just for all of their support in the podcast. Now, a couple other extra questions. The Geek Freak, who would you bring back next year, Armstead or Ward? I am picking, if those are my two options, which they're going to be on very different price points, but if I could just pick one, I'm taking Armstead. But I do want them both back. Armstead's going to be getting pretty close to 17, 18 a year with the way he's played in the past 2 years. Ward, safety position doesn't get paid as much. You're kind of talking 11 to 13 a year. Neither are going to be cheap. And so curious to see what's going to happen. Our salary cap, we've made a lot of moves to free up some space. I want Armstead back. I really do. I do not want to let him go. I love the trifecta at the defensive end with Nick Bosa, D Ford, and Eric Armstead. I would not disrupt that no matter what. That is key. The number one signing this year is going to be that. And if that means you need a franchise, Eric Armstead, if you can't lock him up long term, do it. I want to extend this defensive line that meshes so well. There's no reason to mess that up. Now, Ward is good, but we saw this defense work without him. You go back to the first 3 weeks with Tarvarius Moore. Was he as good as Ward? Hell no, he wasn't. But if you want to move forward and see what Tarvarius Moore can do, if that means keeping Armstead, that's what I want. That's what I want. Let's see here. Let's move down to a couple other questions that are appropriate. From Arnold. John, what I think about this whole rigged BS trying to get Green Bay in Kansas City? Yeah, lots of questions about that. Lots of questions about that. So listen to Arnold. Here we go. I'm going to read this. Y'all bear with me. I have to proof this a little bit. Please let everybody know that I tried your blue chew pill. He left out, I'm going to leave out a keyword there. I can't read the rest of it. Thank you, Arnold. That is awesome. UV, what do you think about the rumors this game? Man, we keep getting all of these questions. I don't buy into conspiracy theories. I really, really don't. And again, don't let it be up to the refs. Don't do it. Take it out of their hands. You're that good of a football team. Remove all doubt. And again, if you look at the Vikings game, it doesn't matter what the refs did. We were going to beat the tail out of that team. That's what you got to do to the Packers. We've done it before. We won 37-8 against this team. Do it again. Do it again. Let's see here. Nick, what if the Packers adopt the Rams' mobile quarterback strategy? Now, Aaron Rodgers, one of the most mobile quarterbacks in the NFL. I know he's older, but he is shifty in the pocket. And again, I think it was 5 years in a row he led the NFL in most rushing first downs from the quarterback position. We're definitely going to see them get him out of the pocket, but the adjustments were made. And if you're watching the film, you're going to see several times where we sit them outside and they make a stop because they try to get Kirk Cousins outside and somebody's just sitting there waiting on them. So the adjustments have been made. They're in place. We played against this scheme several times. I don't think there's a lot that they can do to bring about something that's going to surprise us. We just got to play our game. They're the ones that have to scheme to beat up, to play us, right? So what we do is we do what we do, and we make them overcompensate to try to win because our personnel is better, our scheme is better. I believe that. I don't think it's close. They do have Aaron Rodgers, which let's say he goes off and have an Aaron Rodgers day. Well, how do you stop that? You hit him in the damn mouth. That's what you do. You hit him in the mouth. You stop the run. You force third and longs. He's going to have some Aaron Rodgers plays, but you just go get him. And so I think that's what you got to do. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this film, enjoying the podcast. We're going to be back later this week talking about some more stuff. And again, if you want to watch, and listen to all of the coaching notes and all that stuff, head over to patreon.com. Just look up 49ers Rush Podcast. Join us over there. The Frank Gore tier, just $8 a month. It's year round. Video interns, scouting interns. We've got a lot of people working on draft content and all that stuff after the NFL season. And we're going to have so much content for you guys year round. I put together a 49ers game night in the off season with my old friend Charles Barr, where we're going to have an on-air, it's going to be awesome, trivia contest, NFL, draft, 49ers stuff, giving away content. So if you haven't hit subscribe, please do that. We're not going anywhere, folks. We had a meeting with the NFL this evening about the Hot Mic app. Hope to let you guys know where that is at very, very shortly. So just want to say thanks again, all of the support. Please hit that subscribe and like button wherever you are, and we will be back with you guys very shortly. And until then, stay strong, faithful.